In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, just 180 kilometers from China, there is an island that could become the ignition point of the largest war of the 21st century. It controls more than 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductor production, the chips inside your phone and your car. But in an increasingly tense international landscape between the world's two largest powers, what is the real level of Taiwan's security? If Beijing decided to act tomorrow, would Taiwan and the West be prepared to resist? Taiwan's history is shaped by an identity forged through wars, occupations, and power struggles. For centuries, the island was inhabited by Austronesian indigenous peoples before being colonized by the Dutch in the 17th century and later incorporated into the Chinese Qing Empire. In 1895, after the First Sino-Japanese War, China ceded Taiwan to Japan. For 50 years, the island lived under Japanese rule. With Japan's defeat in World War II in 1945, Taiwan returned to Chinese control, but not for long. In 1949, after the victory of Mao Zedong's communists in the Chinese Civil War, the nationalist government of Chiang Kai-shek, on the other side, Mao's People's Republic of China, PRC, has always considered Taiwan a renegade province. The Silicon Shield. Given all this history, the question remains, does Taiwan still face a real risk of invasion today? To answer that, we need to take a closer look at the country. Taiwan has around 23 million people and maintains active armed forces of approximately 170,000 soldiers, with reserves reaching up to 1.5 million trained personnel. Does that seem small when facing the world's largest military? The secret isn't just in numbers. It lies in something very few countries in the world possess: control over the most strategic technology on the planet. The Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, is, without exaggeration, the most strategic company in the world. It produces the most advanced chips humanity has ever created, the same ones that power Apple processors, NVIDIA's artificial intelligence systems, AMD computers, and the defense systems of the United States. Taiwan also relies on a fundamental, though unofficial, ally, the United States. Since 1979, the Taiwan Relations Act has ensured that Washington provides defensive weapons to the island and maintains strategic ambiguity, meaning the U.S. neither confirms nor denies whether it would defend Taiwan militarily. But the implicit message is clear. Taiwan is separated from mainland China by a strait only about 180 kilometers wide, at its widest point. For a large-scale amphibious invasion, this represents a relatively short crossing, but an extremely dangerous one for any attacking force. The challenge is that Taiwan has only 14 beaches considered suitable for a large-scale amphibious landing. This concentrates defensive positions, but also makes them predictable. In a wartime scenario, China could launch hypersonic missile strikes to destroy coastal defenses before any landing begins. Some examples of critical zones: Taichung Plain, Central West, the largest continuous beach area on the island; Tainan region, South, a flat area with direct access to the industrial interior; Taoyuan Plain, North, close to the capital, Taipei, and the main international airport. Taiwan is one of the most energy import-dependent places in the world. The island imports more than 97% of its oil and natural gas, primarily through the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea. In a conflict scenario, China could impose a naval blockade without firing a single missile toward the coast. Within weeks, Taiwan's strategic fuel reserves would be depleted, bringing key sectors to a halt. The factories of TSMC, which consume massive amounts of electricity 24/7. The island's transportation system, heavily reliant on import thermal power plants, which generate over 80% of the electricity consumed. The cascade effect. A prolonged energy blockade could trigger an economic collapse even before any ground battle begins. Hospitals, internet services, transportation, and industrial production would shut down in a cascading failure. China is well aware of this, and it remains one of its main strategic options. A frequently overlooked vulnerability is internal social cohesion. Taiwan is a vibrant democracy with strong press freedom and an active civil society. This is a strength, but it also creates space for disinformation campaigns. China invests heavily in influence operations targeting the Taiwanese population, especially on social media. The goal is to sow doubt about the island's ability to defend itself, undermine the will to fight, and create internal political divisions between those who favor closer ties with Beijing and those who support formal independence. Surveys indicate that while most Taiwanese prefer to maintain the current status quo, only a smaller portion is willing to take up arms in the event of an invasion. This may be the weakest link in the island's defense, not technology, but human determination. When it comes to transportation and economic power, Taiwan has a structure that can be described as heavily concentrated in the north. Around 70% of the island's GDP, population, and critical infrastructure are located in the Taipei-Taoyuan-Hsinchu corridor in the far north. This model creates critical choke points. If the main port terminals in Keelung and Taichung, along with Taoyuan International Airport, were disabled or destroyed, the impact would not be limited to the north. The effects would spread across the entire country, cutting off the flow of food, fuel, and military reinforcements arriving from abroad.